Greetings, beautiful people. Alright, so in this video, basically I'm gonna cover your vessel once again, you know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, I was thinking about this, but do you notice how at a young age we're taught that the way to learn is memorizing things, you know what I'm saying? And memorizing things, I mean, you have access to knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the knowledge is already within you, and it's basically about, you know, having the access to it. And when you're at your earliest stages in life, you have all the access to that knowledge, you know what I'm saying? But it's about being able to mature that vessel, to be able to have that consciousness, access that memory, and basically even the energy. You're taught as a young child to play with toys, and you know what I'm saying, go into your imagination, which is great, you know what I'm saying? You know, the imagination is the big key here. Toys are the big thing. But one thing is that the child forgets him or herself because they look at those toys the same way an adult looks at the luxury of a big house or a vehicle, you know what I'm saying? And if we were to teach our kids, you know what I'm saying, the use of energies, then it wouldn't be an energy drain, you know what I'm saying? Because you lose yourself just basically in that now moment, in the moment of now, when you're looking at something in the material realm, you know what I'm saying? Children have imaginary friends. They can play with themselves without needing toys, okay? Now, if they're going to use the toys, okay, they're still programmed the wrong way through TV, where they look at these toys as the hero, and they're taught that they're just humans, okay? And this is where it kind of goes wrong, okay? There's a fine line and a fine balance as to how we use things. And things that may seem so innocent sometimes aren't so innocent. Now, we're taught to memorize things in school. We have access to the memory within us, but we're trained, okay, to memorize things that we don't understand outside of ourselves at a young age. That's why at a young age, you know, we're taught things that we find so difficult and hard, such as math and, you know, language. And we don't understand this, and we have a hard time comprehending this at a young age, okay? Where some kids are actually so delayed, but yet those are the ones that are so advanced, but so delayed in fact that, you know, they'll diagnose them with some kind of disease, you know what I'm saying? Like what's that that sickness they diagnose every child with, ADHD or something like that, or maybe something else. But the whole thing is that with a simple injection, for somehow they are able to now use their brain a little bit better, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you pull them off that right side to bring them into that left side. So it's more of a, I find it more of a sedative, if anything, okay? Because some kids can't stay still. Some kids are hyperactive, and who is to say that that's not normal, okay? I mean, when you're of a high frequency and high energy, isn't that a good thing? But they want kids to calm down, and they want kids to just be a little bit more mellow, okay? And what do? They feed them these processed sugars at a young age. Where I'm going to these schools, you know, when schools were open, and there were kids with so much body fat, and it's around their waist. And here's the thing, man, ain't nothing wrong with somebody's frame being overweight or underweight. I mean, it is what it is. But you got to understand that there is something wrong with that, okay? I mean, in any way possible, food got you that way. And food that doesn't necessarily serve you, where your vessel is the most important tool here in this reality, because at the end of the day, you're here by yourself with this vessel, and this vessel is the only thing that you can trust. And I look at this vessel as something that look, you train in the gym, you train at work, they train you in school, so you're always training. And I've mentioned this in my oldest videos, where basically you're either the train, you're basically part of a train, or you could be the conductor. All right, the conductor, okay, is you're basically conducting, and you have power. That's the leader, okay? But you train your vessel like you train a dog, okay? A dog, backwards, God, right? Those words are interchangeable, dog and God. You know what I'm saying? And your body basically is God, all right? Incarnate. But God in its polar opposite, and you, what you really are, is not the body, but the limitless opposite of the body. Okay? You train your body here. Why are things such as, you know, there's certain methods that you do to strengthen your body that you're not taught in school, such as, you know, hydrotherapy, the proper way of cleansing. See, I'm gonna talk about in a video on things that I've came across, even just gardening, how I learned, you know, things in the garden, you know what I'm saying? And how it really ties into as within, so without. When you immerse yourself into something and you're doing it and you're enjoying it, not enjoying it, but enjoying it, okay? I mean, it really unlocks things for you. There's so many different paths out here. And it doesn't matter what you do. If you're doing it and you enjoy it, you're going to unlock shit and you're going to come to a lot of realizations. It doesn't matter what you do here. As long as you're enjoying it and you're not looking to get anything out of it, you're doing it because you are truly enjoying it, and it's something that you can go into a flow state on, man, you're just unlocking things on what you're doing that's showing you what is really going on within as without. Okay? As above, so below. You could look at this as what we consider bad and what we can consider good, or comfort or uncomfort. Okay? It's not in your favor to stay in comfort zones. When you're in comfort zones, you're basically playing this game safe. And when you're in a safe, what happens? Or when you're saving things, right? You're really not moving. Okay? You're more in a freezer than anything else. You preserve things like that. When you save things. So the key is integration, just basically merging everything just the same way you would merge what you're doing to what is really going on in here. See, I've started to look things up in Gematria, and here's the thing, I gotta give a shout out to the Rogue Titan. If you haven't watched his latest video, I definitely highly recommend you watch it. I'll actually put the link in the description below. But Gematria, for example, he started to talk about the word Titan and, you know, the word nigger. And the funny thing is, man, is I happen to Gematria my name, and literally the second line down is the word Titan. So I said, okay, I'm gonna start, and it's like I started it. See, Gematria, you gotta play detective work, because I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot of things there that probably pertain to you and some don't pertain to you, but a lot of it there pertains to your timeline. So what sticks out to you, using intuition, it's kind of like when you're doing tarot or whatnot, you know what I'm saying? You're basically using an intuitive space. You start to look at the words, and whatever words kind of stick out to you, and not using the ego, because some people will use the word Titan because they're coming from an ego space. You know what I'm saying? But you're using Titan because you maybe heard it in so many different places. That's just an example. But I happened to click on Titan, and it basically, and I saw the word nigger there. And it's funny because this I did just yesterday, and then he happens to put out a video today, and he mentions these exact things that I was actually seeing yesterday. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, man. I mean, This, and it starts, you know, and this is not the only time this has happened. This happens with numbers. This happens with a lot of different things where you get to a point where you're like, man, I'm not even surprised that this shit is happening anymore. Things are really so synchronistic and magical, but it's not to get desensitized to it, because there's also a fine line there. When you become desensitized to it, now you're falling back asleep. You know what I'm saying? It's using the things to your advantage now. But man, when he said that, I was like, fuck, I was just looking at this shit yesterday, and I happened to see the word nigger there. And all these words I happen to click on, but you start to play kind of detective work when you do gematria. So you start to see things. Let's say, for example, you may have an addiction to something. You know what I'm saying? And something pops up there where it's something that you may have an addiction to, but it doesn't say addiction to this. It may be saying addiction to chocolate or something. And then you see the word chocolate. You know what I'm saying? You might say, oh, I've been craving chocolate lately, or I have a serious addiction to chocolate. And this is just an example. You know, you click on chocolate, and then it'll link onto so many different things, kind of like you're linking things together, and you're kind of playing detective work. And the funny thing here is that you'll be tying things that you're experiencing here in your reality. Where, funny enough, I just happened to watch, you know, recently, I happened to watch the movies Rambo, Rocky. I got into like Sylvester Stallone frenzy for some reason, but something told me to watch them. I've always liked these movies, but I got so much out of it, and I'm not talking about in an entertaining way. I got a lot more out of it than I have ever gotten in my life. I'm not talking about just now. I watched The Never Ending Story recently, Back to the Future, Rambo, Rocky. I happen to say, you know what? I was doing these gematria searches, and it led me to Back to the Future. Now, I happen to put in Back to the Future. It ties into Floyd. It ties into Riot. I saw another search, and I'll write these things down. You know what I'm saying? I don't have it here with me, but it'll tie into things that you're experiencing in your timeline. You get what I'm saying? But it's not to use these gematria things to, you know, entertain their movie. It's more or less to see what's going on outside of you and see how it ties into what you're actually experiencing here in your reality, your life, or your file. Because life and file is interchangeable. See, this is just a file that you're tapping into here. Okay, this is what it is, a file. And you're a detective. You are Bruce Banner. You're Batman. I happen to watch what is it called? Fuck. What's the name of that movie, man? The Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League. All right. And one of the things that stuck out is that, you know, when Bruce Banner broke into the Flash's hideout or cave or whatnot, you know, he happened to tell him that he's trying to recruit him. He's getting a team together and whatnot. And, you know, when he convinces him, they both get into this really expensive looking car that Bruce Banner gets into. And the Flash asks Bruce Banner, so what are your true superpowers? And he goes, I'm rich. Okay. Now, in another scene, Bruce Banner tells Wonder Woman that Superman, because they're trying to bring Superman back from the dead, you know, basically dormant cells and whatnot. They're talking about how they can activate with this, you know, this power cube, these 3 cubes, but with one particular cube, they can, you know, bring him back. And it happened to be the cube of humanity, the one that's hidden in man, because one was in the Atlantis, where it was in the ocean, and then the other ones were with the Amazons, where Wonder Woman's people are. So they want to bring Superman back. But, you know, Wonder Woman is trying to talk him out of it, saying that, you know, it's a mistake with that kind of power. They don't know, you know, what they're gonna, you know, what's gonna happen. It's like what happened when Lex Luthor brought back General Zod. It basically created an abomination where it was kind of doomsday, and that's what led to the death of Superman. But bringing back Superman would probably lead to the same thing. But one thing that stuck out to me is when Bruce Banner said, Bruce Wayne. You know, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Banner is the Hulk. But yeah, Bruce Wayne is Batman. So he said to Wonder Woman that Superman, or Clark Kent, was more human than he was. You know what I'm saying? Yet Bruce Wayne is more human in reality than Clark Kent. You know what I'm saying? And when you look up these names in Gematria, I mean, you'd be surprised what you find. I found a lot of things. Again, I wrote a lot of things down and how even the name Clark Kent ties directly with the name Superman. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is by coincidence. Everything is orchestrated. Everything is playing out accordingly. You get what I'm saying? You could join in on this game if you start to learn and pay attention and start using these tools to your advantage rather than demonizing or looking down on these things, or, you know what I'm saying, looking even down on people that you speak outside of you, which I'll get to that in a second. But, you know, when you're looking at, you know, what Bruce Wayne said, you know what I'm saying? Bruce Wayne originally said that his superpowers is that he's rich. So here in this physical realm, your power is your wealth, your money, right? But Superman, with all these powers, with all these abilities, he decided to be more human than Bruce Wayne. He had a job where he was actually working as a news reporter. He fell in love with Lois Lane. He had emotions toward humanity. He was more human, yet he was more super than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And Bruce Wayne, you know, being more human than all of them, was actually one that, you know, utilized his wealth to be able to go toe-to-toe with even Superman. You know what I'm saying? He utilized his wealth. That's kind of like, if you want to look at the opposition here, they use their wealth and their technologies against us who are the real superpowers. You know what I'm saying? It's just that we forgot how to use these superpowers, okay? And that's the biggest fear that this opposition has. You know what I'm saying? And these tools that we have here are things that we can use to help us remember what the fuck is really going on. Okay, so one thing that I could tell you is we usually talk to people, you know what I'm saying, and we find ourselves a lot more advanced in our way of thinking, you know what I'm saying, in the way we live our lives, you know, basically ritualizing. Like when I do my gardening, I'm ritualizing everything I'm doing out here. Everything here, all these plants to me are an actual deity. They are an actual being, okay? I did a walkthrough of my garden. It's a 20-minute video series. It's, you know, gonna be 40 minutes long. If you guys are into gardening and you like that type of information, you might enjoy these videos, because I talk about a lot of the things that I'm actually growing out here with not much space. But it's not about the amount of space, it's basically what you do with your space, okay? And I also mentioned that I do my gardening with magic. I'm not doing it where I'm doing it as a human. And I'm also not attached to my garden, even though I put so much time and attention into the gardening. It's also tied me into a lot of what's going on within me to help me figure out certain things that are going on outside of myself. The ladybug, for example, was something that stuck out to me. And I saw it so many times and doing some repeated patterns from one plant to another that I said, you know what? And that's why I started to Gematria ladybug. And I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. It led to such as the name Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Now, I can go into many different things, but what one thing means to me may mean nothing to you. Because like I said, there's many different values for whatever word you put in there. But it may have a value that pertains to your timeline and one that pertains to mine. But keep this in mind. All you motherfuckers outside of me are just NPCs to me. I'm the only real player here. I'm by myself. Not to say that if you're listening to me, I want you to sit back and see yourself as an NPC. You get what I'm saying? What you need to do is look at me as an NPC as well. Look at yourself as the real player. Meaning that every person that's here in this reality, in this realm, is actually playing their own individual game, which is why you see your world with your eyes and your perception. And I'm going to make a video on what I mean when I say through your eyes, you see the world with your perception, and I see mine through my perception. Man, I may be seeing the color red the way you see the color green. I may not even see the color green the way you see the color green. I may see it the way I see the color purple. You get what I'm saying? We all may be seeing totally different things, and we're over here arguing about certain things when in reality the same way. That's why I said everything works in one of my videos, because there's many different paths. But because I have a path doesn't mean that everybody has to follow in the exact same path to get to the same place that we're all going to anyway. You get what I'm saying? It's about realizing through the paths that you are on what you can actually accomplish here and get to where you need to get to. Okay? It's about literally coming to a realization of who you really are and what you actually are. Just sit back and ask yourself this, because just you asking yourself this is gold. What the fuck am I really doing here? Because is life really about just going to work, having kids, dying, and then that's it? See, a lot of people here have the advantage of being single with no kids, no wife. They got all the advantages, man. Yet they are still trying to connect to a person outside of them and find that blissful moment. When in reality, when you're at that most blissful state, realize that you're coming and pulling in that polar opposite with you. The most important frequency here is neutrality. And I've said this many, many times. And the reason it is neutrality is because you have absolutely no attachments to anything here. Lately, you need to start looking at everything that you see outside of yourself. I don't care what the fuck it is. Even if you do things you love here, such as me gardening, I'm not attached to this garden. Where if something was to happen, okay, to my garden, I'm not going to flip out. I'm not attached to anything here. And in reality, you're supposed to be able to let go of everything, including family members, if it ever came down to it. Okay, because that is the biggest trap. But a lot of people can't do that, which is why you might as well just not get into that experience if that is something that you feel you cannot do. Okay, now I love my family and I'm working with what I have now, but I am also very aware that when you're doing certain level of work or certain things in your reality, certain things definitely need to sometimes fall off. And if that was to happen, how would you react to it? Are you proactive, or are you going to react to that in a way that wouldn't be even favorable to you? Because sometimes when something falls out, something bigger, much bigger comes in. And when you're in that empowered state, that's why they say if it is meant to be, it'll come back. But you got to have faith in yourself that it will come back. See, I had to be born again because I was in a life or a file before that I had to completely alter. As I said, I was making a totally different amount of money back then. But then my reality changed because a lot of my beliefs changed, and a lot of the things that I once believed in ended up falling away. It wasn't like I left it, they left me. But how did I react to it? Do you get what I'm saying? Was it in my favor to react in a way where I wanted to stay attached to it, or was it in my best interest to just let it go? And love, if it is meant to be, it'll come back. See, a lot of people, even with gardening, spiritual people, let's say there's an invasion of Japanese beetles that actually invade your garden around June, July. Okay? See, the thing is, I told you, I manage everything with magic out here. But if there's a Japanese beetle right in front of me, I will crush it. And in my mind, because karma and all that is another programming. There's a cause and effect. I'll tell you what my cause is. My cause is that I create and I will also destroy, but I can also reincarnate in another way. Okay? That's more of the Wolverine. If you don't know about the Wolverine character, his genes and cells, okay, literally regenerate from anything because he's got that ultimate healing ability where nothing sticks to him. Okay, so I embody that character that I created. So all these energies out here is for your benefit to use for your advantage because you're here by yourself. Nothing can fuck with you unless you consent to it. So if there is a Japanese beetle that happens to be in one of my leaves, I'm going to crush it, but I'll leave it there. So that if any other Japanese beetles happen to come in there, they're going to see a dead Japanese squished beetle and they're going to be like, oh shit, I ain't going near that plant. Let me get the fuck out of here. See, in my mind, that's how everything works. So I'm going to tie another video and we'll talk soon.